In this video, we will talk about Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro, who stated he wants North American territory, specifically Puerto Rico, for Venezuela. But before we continue, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. Last Saturday, during the World Festival of the Anti-Fascist International in Caracas, the dictator Nicolas Maduro made a statement that quickly made international headlines. In a fiery speech, he declared that just as the United States has what he described as a colonization agenda in the North, the South, specifically Venezuela, has a liberation agenda. He went on to say that the liberation of Puerto Rico is still pending and that Venezuela will conquer it. As if these controversial statements were not enough, Maduro claimed that Puerto Rico would be conquered by Brazilian troops, specifically citing the General Abreu e Lima Battalion of the Pernambuco State Military Police. This declaration was seen as an attempt by Maduro to evoke Latin America's history of resistance to imperialism but also as a direct provocation to Donald Trump. The idea of military intervention involving Brazilian troops, even if only rhetorical, heightens tensions in the region. In response, the governor of Puerto Rico, Jennifer Gonzalez, did not mince words, vehemently condemning Maduro, calling him a murderous dictator, and describing his words as an open threat to the national security of the United States. Gonzalez called on the U.S. government, particularly President-elect Donald Trump, to take a firm stance against what she called Maduro's narco regime. To understand the gravity of this situation, it is essential to know Puerto Rico's historical context. Before becoming a U.S. territory, the island was a Spanish colony and an integral part of the vast Spanish Empire in the New World. For centuries, Puerto Rico served as a strategic point for both trade and military defense, especially given its location in the Caribbean. However, in 1898, as a result of the Spanish-American War, control of the territory passed into U.S. hands under the Treaty of Paris, in which Spain ceded Puerto Rico along with the Philippines and Guam to the United States. Since then, Puerto Rico has undergone significant changes, including political and economic reforms. With a Human Development Index, HDI, of 0.845, much higher than Brazil's 0.760, the quality of life for Puerto Ricans is considered high by Latin American standards. This is largely due to a per capita income of nearly $50,000, far exceeding that of other countries in the region, such as Brazil, $10,000, Argentina, $13,000, and Uruguay, $23,000. However, this period has also been marked by tensions, with local movements advocating for greater autonomy or even complete independence. Today, Puerto Rico is an unincorporated territory of the United States, meaning Puerto Ricans hold U.S. citizenship but face significant restrictions. For example, they cannot vote in presidential elections and are represented by a non-voting delegate in the U.S. Congress. Despite this, the island enjoys considerable internal autonomy in areas such as health, education, and security. Another important issue is Puerto Rico's economic situation. Despite its relatively high per capita GDP, the island faces a long-standing fiscal crisis and deep public debt, increasing its reliance on U.S. federal subsidies. This has fueled intense debates over its relationship with the mainland and potential solutions to these problems. The primary proposals involve either complete independence or transforming the island into the 51st U.S. state. Regardless of these internal debates, Puerto Rico is seen as an integral and inviolable part of U.S. territory. Thus, when considering Washington's potential response to Maduro's statements, several scenarios arise. First, it is important to note that Washington has a long history of protecting its territories and spheres of influence in the Caribbean. Since the Monroe Doctrine was formulated in 1823, the United States has viewed any external interference in the region as a direct threat to its own national security. An immediate response could include increasing sanctions against Venezuela. The U.S. government already enforces economic and political sanctions against Maduro, but new measures could target additional sectors, such as oil, the regime's main source of revenue. Another possibility is strengthening military presence in the Caribbean region, sending a clear message of deterrence to Maduro. However, this issue is not solely military or diplomatic. Maduro's speech could also be interpreted as an attempt to divert attention from Venezuela's severe internal crisis, marked by food shortages, the collapse of the healthcare system, electoral fraud, censorship, and brutal political repression. For the United States, this situation presents an opportunity to increase international pressure on Maduro by building alliances with other Latin American countries opposed to his regime, such as Argentina under Javier Milei. For Brazil, the situation is also complex. Although there is no evidence of Brazilian government involvement in Maduro's statements, the direct mention places the country in a delicate position. An official response from Brazil might be necessary, either to reaffirm its sovereignty and neutrality or to avoid damaging relations with the United States. However, as of Tuesday, January 14, the Brazilian government remains silent. Additionally, Brazil could become a target of disinformation campaigns, with speculations about its geopolitical stance. It is worth noting that Brazil was one of only 7 countries to send official representatives to Maduro's inauguration, a gesture that reveals implicit support from the Lula administration for consolidating the Venezuelan dictatorship. This act of support could fuel and reinforce theories and speculations about alleged Brazilian participation in Maduro's supposed plan, a notion that, even if unfounded, has the potential to impact Brazil's image and diplomatic relations with the United States. Maduro's statements about Puerto Rico and Brazil are a clear example of how political rhetoric can generate profound international tensions. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do so now and turn on notifications to stay informed about developments like this one.